Kunjabihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabihari.
Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari.
Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Yashodanandana Raja Janaranjana.
Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana.
Jamuna Tira Banga Chori.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Jamuna Tira Banga Chari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradari.
Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari.
Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana.
Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana.
Jamuna Tira Vanga Chari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Jamuna Tira Vanga Chari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Shri Radha Madhava Sake ki jai.
Jai.
Chaitanya Chandra Mandir ki jai.
Jai.
Narayanam Namaskrityam
Narayanam Namaskritya
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Naran Chaiva Narottamam
Devam Sarasvatam Vyasam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Tato Jaya Mudirayat.
Tato Jayamudirayet.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Shinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shavana Kirtanaha Hridyantasto Hyabadurani Vidunotsi Susitsatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. Papa. Can you see our screen, sir?
Yes.
You see all the people going to the hell, sir.
Yes. Can you hear me, Guru Maharaj?
Huh?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. The mute
You see
button.
anybody from? You see
Yes.
anybody from? You see anybody from Micron there?
Yes, yes. I see myself there.
So, sir. So here we have Srimad Bhagavatam 616. Please repeat. Yataiva narakan naraha.
Yathaiva narakan naraha.
Nanograyatanam neyat.
Nanograyatanam neyat.
Tanme vyakhyatum
Tanme vyakhyatum arhasi.
We're missing one line here. Okay.
The first line we are missing, Adunena Mahabhaga.
This is Canto 6, History of the Life of Ajamil. Okay. Okay. It's the first line?
Yes. 616, right? 616. Verse number 6.
This is it, huh?
Yes.
Radhe Radhe. Okay. You chat and we will respond.
Adhunena Mahabhaga.
Ate adu neha mahabhaga.
Yathaiva narakan naraha.
Yataiva narakan naraha.
Nanograyatanam neyat.
Nanogra yatanan neyat.
Tanme vyakhyatum arhasi.
Tanme vyakyatum arhasi. Some other devotee can chant, some gentleman. Don't be shy.
Aduneha Mahabhaga
Aduneha mahabhaga.
Jathaiva Narakan Naraha
Yatavai narakan naraha.
Nanogra Jatanam Neyat
Nanogra yatanan neyat.
Tanme Vyakyatum Harhasi.
Tanme vyakyatum arhasi. Some of the ladies might chant.
Aduneha Mahabhaga
Aduneha mahabhaga.
Jataiva Narakan Naraha
Yataiva narakan naraha.
Nanograyatanam Neyat
Nanogra yatanan neyat.
Tanme Vyakyatum Harsha Arhasi.
Tanme vyakyatum arhasi.
Adhuneha Mahabhaga
Aduneha mahabhaga.
Yathaiva Narakan Naraha
Yatava narakan naraha.
Nanograyatana Neyat
Nanogra yatanam neyat.
Tanme Vyakyatum Arhasi.
Tanme vyakyatum arhasi. One more.
Adhuneha Mahabhaga
Atuneha mahabhaga.
Yathaiva Narakan Naraha
Yataiva narakan naraha.
Nanograyata nanyeyat
Nanogra yatanane yat.
Tanme Vyakhyatum
Me vyakyatum arhasi. Okay, translation. Hadunena. Okay. Srinivas, I'm going to try and guess the word by word. Everybody else can guess too. Now it says aduneha. I know in Hindi that a modern guy is called adunik. So this aduna. Is this aduna iha? You think combined?
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Yes.
So iha means in this world, I guess, or something. And aduna,
Ye-
does that mean like now or something? Currently?
Yes. Yes. Now.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Okay. Mahabhaga, greatly fortunate. Then we got yata aiva, which is yata and ava certainly, and yata. Yata means as much as. Is that what it means?
Yeah. Yatha and tata is what you said, as much as. So yatha is kind of also like that. We say Bhagavad Gita, yatha tata, as it is. Yeah.
Okay. So
Like this. Yeah.
so narak is hell, but what does narakan mean? Does that mean into, going to?
It's just a plural form, Guru Maharaj.
Okay. Oh, hells. Okay, narakan. And naraha would be human, be people. Nanogra. This reminds us of nanotechnology. Nanotechnology.
Nana Shastra.
Okay. Ogra is Nana Ugra. So Ugra means terrible, horrible.
Yes. And Nana is
And
like varieties, like many. Nana
yeah,
Shastra. It's
Nana Shastri. Okay. Yatanam. What does that mean?
It could mean endeavors, or maybe the what they'll be experiencing in
And
this hellish situation. Yeah.
and what is Nayat? Is that Na'iyat?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. What does that mean?
That means to go. So may not go.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Tan is tat, may. Okay. Vyakyatam. Is that something about talking or speaking?
Yes. To tell.
Oh my gosh. Arhasi. That's a word we hear all the time, but I can't remember what it means.
You deserve. Basically, it means you deserve. Arha means deserve.
Okay. Aduneyaha mahabhaga yataiva narakanara nanogra yatanahne yatane vyakyatim arhasi. Oh, greatly fortunate and opulent Sukadeva Goswami, now kindly tell me how human beings may be saved from having to enter hellish conditions in which they suffer terrible pains. Okay, so everybody please repeat. Oh, greatly fortunate and opulent Sukadeva Goswami.
Oh, greatly fortunate and opulent Shukadeva Goswami.
Now kindly tell me how human beings may be saved from having to enter hellish conditions.
Now kindly tell me how human beings may be saved from having to enter hellish conditions
in which they suffer terrible pains.
In which they suffer terrible pains.
Okay. So, who wants to read? I guess you can read it, Srinivas. It says here something.
In the 26th chapter of the 5th.
From Prabhupada's purport, we have a little selection there.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. That's what I'm trying to read.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. In the 26th chapter of the 5th canto, Shukadeva Goswami has explained that people who commit sinful acts are forced to enter hellish planets and suffer. Now Maharaja Parikshit, being a devotee, is concerned with how this can be stopped. A Vaishnava is paradukha dukhi. In other words, he has no personal troubles, but he is very unhappy to see others in trouble.
So this is very nice, a very fundamental idea. This is the 6th canto. First 2 cantos are Krishna's lotus feet. Okay.
Yes.
And 3 and 4 are his legs. Okay, he can move. 5 is his waist. 6 is his chest. So already we're up to the point where we can, hang out with Krishna pretty intimately. So we're talking about advanced subject matters here in terms of religious activity, religious behavior. And you find so many religious people in this world, especially if you live here in Nashville, Tennessee. Everybody's kind of religious in Nashville. But I have with me, what do I have here? I'll turn on my camera. Do that, okay? Can you? Wait a second. We're gonna get a background here. My robot's kicking in the background. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Can you see the book?
Yes. Orthodox Church.
Yeah. It's not looking so well. Anyway.
Yeah, what happens is when you have Zoom background, you should put the book
Yeah, I know.
by your body. So it should be in the place where your body parts are there, then it will show. Yeah, next to your T-shirt. Yes, Orthodox Church. I see that now. Yeah.
Yeah, Orthodoxy. And here's another one. So this is from our garden, one of our gardeners.
Eternal plan, God's eternal plan.
Yeah. Okay.
The gardener gave you, Guru Maharaj?
Huh?
The gardener gave you that book? Your gardener gave you that book?
He's a gardener handyman for the community here. I think we're soon to everybody. Very nice guy. His name's Don. And he used to drive a bus, for the Veterans Center here. Belonged to the Army. Retired, and now he does like handiwork and gardening work. And very nice, very intelligent, very competent. And so he also drives us to the airport. So we got to know him. We're giving him some prasad and little literature and talking. And then finally discovered he's a Christian. He has this background. But he belongs to a very specific Christian church. It was founded by one Korean guy, Reverend something Ni, Watchman Ni, maybe like the 1950s or 60s. And he was being harassed by the communists or something. But one follower came. So a church started, and maybe out in our area, maybe the surrounding few states, maybe like people will come to 600 will come to like a convention. So I got these books from him, and I'm reading about their ideas, the conceptions, and what's coming back so far is the person appears to be, kind of like Brahman realized from the Bible, and he's putting together different resources from the Bible, and this says that says this, it says it here. And he's kind of generating his idea, his cosmology and stuff, And it's not bad, that kind of person. Okay, maybe they are eating some meat or something, or doing some things. And so they may go to hell or some, for a little bit or something, or something may be there, maybe be taken care of very quickly. This is a description of what's the universe like, different places we're going, we can be there and stuff, and different kind of people we can meet, And so here now we can give different kinds of information to people. If we can give information to the leaders in society, of course, so many people follow them. So many people are following the Watchman Nee and people like that. So here it's describing. It says that people are just forced to go because they don't want any personal relationship with the king. What they want to do is just think of themselves and their personality as supreme, and okay, we'll follow the king's laws. Well, that's something. We out of fear and out of desire, we respect the king's laws, and not even conscious that there's somebody behind the the laws. And Don can't get over here to mow the grass on our side of town, and there's so much. So one guy he met named Michael. I mentioned him, and he mows on this side, and he started coming around, and now we're starting to develop a relationship with him. And I found out that actually what he does, that the cutting the grass is kind of like a day job he has. And when his kids ask for money, he says, no way, get out there and I got this job so you guys can do it. You can run those machines. So smart guy, yeah. And he's got his wife out there working with him, and they, you can see they got a stable relationship because they're working together. So I talking to him, and he's in charge of the water filtration plant for the city at nighttime. And what it is, they have three reservoirs, but two of them they never really control basically at all, and they just let them flow into the third one usually, and they control the flow from that, and then from that they filter the water for the city. And he said they have I think it's like 17 of these like like the same kind of water filter you have at home with a cartridge, but these are maybe 3 feet long and 1 foot wide, something. And they're guaranteed for 7 years before they got to replace them. So then I began to realize, wow, the water coming out of my tap is basically the same as the water coming out of a Vaisheshika's water filter system, multi-pure. Only thing is it's going through the pipes and stuff. Okay, but it's definitely doesn't have any more contamination than the river water or anything else. And also the water, he says, it's not like coming downstream from anybody else's refuse. It's actually mostly just runoff from the hills and stuff. So now it's amazing. I really have a whole difference in consciousness in terms of the water coming out of my water pipe. It's really amazing. So this is the description of what is the cosmos, and the questions that these questions are way back in the first canto, right? Second canto, questions by Maharaj Pariksit. And he's answering, describe the cosmos to me, the different dvipas and these things. Wow, okay, he remembers. So he'll be coming around to this point about the cosmos, and if you stitch up little birds and make puppets out of them, or if you kill animals and boil them in ghee, and there's kumbhipaka, suchimukha, so many different kinds of hells there and stuff, and places you can go and to enjoy life in different ways. But Sukadeva Goswami, Prabhupada said this is naturally as a devotee. This is a very kind of important point. Bhaktisiddhanta's followers, when they were on parikrama, they weren't giving charity to beggars, some of them. And he said, no, this will just make your hard heart. He said, everything is designed by Krishna out of his mercy to get us out of this world. So for those people who can't understand the Paramatma, they can't understand Bhagavan, they don't want to, then he creates this system of laws and rules and regulations and demigods, and this will also make you so you can understand it. It'll give you the finer tissues that you need to understand spiritual life. So therefore we do this. We're friendly with our family members, and in terms of civilized relationships, and within that, of course, we're modulating it with our particular higher perspective and stuff. So it's a very, very nice integrated system. This sixth canto is very, very nice, very advanced understanding of the relationship between Vaishnavas and Punyatmas, pious people, and Vaishnavas. So Maharaj Pariksit feeling compassion for people, say, hey, can we help these guys out? Can we keep them from entering the hellish planets because of their activities like that? So we have some more. Any questions or comments at this point? Anybody has? There's a chat here. The chat says, Vishnath Chakravarti says, love your Sanskrit, Srinivas Prabhu. I don't know if Vishnath Chakravarti Thakur is speaking on behalf of his master or not. If he is, you really got some impressive people appreciating your Sanskrit. We got Subal Sat. Most people have their names beginning with S. What we got here? We got Ravanari. Okay. We got Sarad Radhika Devi Dasi Sabashini, who's disguising herself. Any crocodiles there?
It's Maharaj. Well,
everybody going to hell? Everybody going to hell in Florida?
Hope not.
pretty pious place, I guess. You don't have to eat so much meat. Srinivasacharya, Subal Saka, Krishna Pramodani, Sugopi Radha Devi Dasi, Sundaradhika Devi Dasi, Shyam Krishna Gopal. We got 3 people in the same house or on different computers. Probably don't talk to each other either. Yeah. Probably argue who's going to wash dishes on the computer. Okay, then we'll go ahead here. Yeah. Okay, everybody's going to hell. Okay. Chaitanya Charitamrita, can you chant the Sanskrit?
Yes, Maharaj. Okay. Bhagavatam. Atra choda harantinam itahastam puratanam dutanam vishnu yama yoho samvarastam nibodame anya tubje dvija kaschid dasi patir ajamilaha namna nastra saracharo dashaha samsagar dusitaha.
Subal, can you chant also? Subal Sakadas, are you there?
Hare Krishna, Gurudeva, please accept my humble senses.
Oh, Shri Rich Mound Yatra Ki Jai. all the money is with you guys. You have a mound of money, I guess. Rich mound. My goodness. Wow. Can you chant the Sanskrit also?
Yes, Gurudeva. Just can I increase it a little bit, Gurudeva? I don't have my glasses. Yeah.
Subal Saka Prabhu, you can also do plus on your side. You can do zoom on your own screen if you're uncomfortable.
Let me see, Prabhu. Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. I think unfortunately, I was on a call. I came out and I left my glasses there. Just
big enough now? I can make it bigger, maybe.
It's big enough, Gurudeva, but it went out of screen right now. Just let me. Yeah, I think it is good now, Gurudeva. Atra choda haranti mam.
You just chant everything.
Oh, okay. Atra choda haranti mam itihasam puratanam dutanam vishnu yamayo samvadasatam nibodame kanyakubje dvija kaschet dasi patir ajamila namna nashta sadacharo dasya samsarga dushita
Kanya kobje dvija kasched dasi patir ajamilaha namna nashta sadacharo dashta sangsarga dustita. Kanya kubje dvija kasched. Once upon a time, there was a Brahmana in the city of Kanya Kubja, Dasi Patir Ajamilaha. Okay, and so there was a Dasi Patir. Sir, this word Dasi can mean low class person. Yeah, Namna Nashta Sadacharo. We talk about this Sadacharo, Acharya. He shows by example. So sadachar, it means good qualities, good activities. But he lost it all. He lost it all by association with a dasipati. Dasya sangsarga dushitaha. In this regard, we're talking now about how to get free from help people to get free from their sinful reactions, get out of jail. In this regard, Sukadeva Goswami says, learned scholars and saintly persons describe a very old historical incident. Wow. So Sukadeva Goswami is going to tell us a story, but it's a very old story. Okay, I wonder if it's in other Vedas. It's actually in the Rig Veda or something. It's a very famous story. Wow. Okay. The prostitute who became a classic. Okay. In this regard, learned scholars and saintly persons describe a very old historical incident involving a discussion between the order carriers of Lord Vishnu and those of Yamaraj. Please hear of this from me. In the city known as Kanya Kubja, there was a Brahmin named Ajamil who married a prostitute maidservant and lost all his Brahminical qualities. I'm going over here to close the door because the mode of passion is coming and everybody is running off to work because they're afraid of death. Okay. Oh my goodness. So much more peaceful. Okay. Okay. Right away, this word prostitute in American English is very, very, very low class. It means like by the hour, basically. Associating with women for illicit sex, on a kind of an hourly basis. But it appears that maybe Ajamil, she stayed with him her whole life and so on. So maybe a couple associates and stuff, understanding Prabhupada's language and the way he's training us to speak. So this is what happened. It's a very old story, and Ajamil lost all of his sadachar, which would have taken him to heaven because of association, bad association. Okay. And here we have text 28 to 31. And it describes, of course, the whole history of Ajamil. He lost all of his sadachar, and he was going to go to hell. Ajamil saw 3 awkward persons with deformed bodily features, fierce, twisted faces, and hair standing erect on their bodies. This is, I think, like hair on the body of a pig. It's very, very stiff, So the Yamadutas look like hell, And so when you see the Yamadutas, you have a real good idea about maybe where you're going and what's going to happen there. With ropes in their hands, they had come to take him away to the abode of Yamaraj. When he saw them, he was extremely bewildered, and because of attachment to his child who was playing a short distance away, Ajamil began to call him loudly by his name. Narayana, Narayana, Narayana. I think of some child. But Ajamil, because of his previous pious activities, one who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil. He had that connection there. That connection was there, And so, under that pressure, he probably realized, boy, that baby's not going to save me. Even if he does call his mama, she's not going to be able to save me. So the mind is looking like a cornered rat. And the mind remembers the real Narayana, our pious activities, and everything we're doing. Okay? When he saw them, he was extremely bewildered. And because of attachment to his child who was playing a short distance away, he began to call his name. Thus, with tears in his eyes, somehow or other, he chanted the holy name of Narayana. My dear king, the order carriers of Vishnu, the Vishnu Dutas, immediately arrived when they heard the holy name of their master from the mouth of what's his name? Mouth of the dying Ajamil, who has certainly chanted without offense because he had chanted in complete anxiety. Okay, this is a very important point. There was no offensive chanting. He was completely in distress and everything else. The order carriers of Yamaraj were snatching the soul from the core of the heart of Ajamil, the husband of the prostitute. But with resounding voices, the messengers of Lord Vishnu, the Vishnu Dutas, forbade them to do so. So it's like your local police, city police in your city. You have a city there. Think of your city police. And trying to arrest somebody, and he calls out very loudly, President Biden, Joe Biden, Joe Biden, Joe Biden. And immediately the sky is shaking, and the helicopters are above you in the sky, and what's it called? TAC force, what these guys call, there's some name for them. Navy SEALs are dropping from the sky on bungee cords with laser-directed anti-tank Hellfire rockets and smoke bombs and everything else. So the local police are, my God, what happened? Yeah, so it's a very exciting situation for Ajamil sitting there with his soul half ripped out of his body. Some of the guys want to take him to hell, and the other guys are saying, "Don't worry, we'll protect you. In a helpless condition, you have called the name of our master, Joe Biden." Okay, Donald Trump. One more. Sukadeva Goswami then said, okay, so then they wanted to know about what the conversation was. They heard the conversation, and then Sukadeva Goswami said, "My dear king, when the order carriers of Yamaraj were baffled and defeated by the order carriers of Vishnu, they approached their master, the controller of Samyamani Puri, and the master of sinful persons to tell him of the incident." 12-17. Yamaraj said, "My dear servants, you have accepted me as the supreme, but factually I am not." Okay, so somebody may accept Shriman Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is the only one. Nobody goes to heaven except through him. Everybody else is going to hell. We have one church here. I go by it every day on the way to Nitai Gaur Sundar's house. And I finally looked it up and I was surprised. It's a fundamentalist, I think it's Baptist church. And they were maybe two of them in the city here. They got together, they bought some property, maybe like about eight city lots and stuff, And but they're fundamentalists. If it's not in the Bible, it's not true. And which Bible? The King James Version, the original one, which is maybe 400 years old or something. And so there they are. They're fundamentalists. Okay, and you go to them and tell them, you say, "My dear sirs, you have accepted Jesus Christ and Jehovah as the supreme, and the Bible is the supreme, but factually it is not." Okay, so Yamaraj is telling them, above me and above all the other demigods, including Indra and Chandra, is the supreme master and controller. The partial manifestations of his personality, or Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. And so Brahma, we find, I was trying to get a job one time. I was, they were hiring people for becoming a salesman with an insurance company, the combined groups. And they were really, I could tell from a little bit of contact with the Bhagavad Gita and Prabhupada's movement, they were very, very much worshiping Brahma. Whatever you set your mind to, you can do. What are your goals? And everybody had these goals. You had to write it down and just declare it in class there, 20 people. And I wanted to have a little farm in the country and have goats. And everybody was laughing and looking at me. It was friendly, But everybody else wanted to have a so-and-so car within 3 years. Somebody else wanted to be able to go on a vacation around the world, And, it was very much in the mode of passion. So they were worshiping Brahma. And it's elevated. You can see there was people were starting to follow standards in their lives. The partial manifestations of his personality are Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, who are in charge of the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of this universe. So some people just want to blast everything. At the end of the week, that is so crazy. They want to get drunk and they want to blow up their mind. They say that. And each weekend I have a party with my friends and wife and stuff, and we just have a blast and get sloppy or something. Okay. Shiva, he's my ultimate resort. He blows everything up. He, the Supreme Lord, who's above Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, is like the two threads that form the length and breadth of a woven cloth. In English, the whoop and the wharf. In Sanskrit, the odom and the protom. The entire world is controlled by him, just as a bull is controlled by a rope in its nose. Just as the driver of a bullock cart ties ropes through the noses of the bulls to control them, the Supreme Personality of Godhead binds all men to the ropes of his words in the Vedas, which set forth the names and activities of distinct orders. We got it here. Okay. Distinct orders of human society: Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. In fear, the members of these orders all worship the Supreme Lord by offering him presentations according to their respective activities. So, of course, the Prophet Muhammad, may his name be blessed, in the Quran, and then after that, different texts, there are so many rules and regulations which are given in Doctrines and Covenants from the Mormons. God gave them so many rules: how much money they had to give in charity, how much, to the church, how they had to fast and give charity to other people. And of course, the 10 Commandments came down from heaven as described. So all these people are people in the mode of ignorance, out of fear. They're serving God, not out of passion because they want things. Okay, then they also serve God and they get their rewards. In the mode of goodness, of course, what happens? They want liberation from everything else. So he's controlling everybody, just like animals, being pulled along. Then he says, I, Yamaraj, Indra, the king of heaven, Nriti, Varuna, Chandra, the moon god, Agni, Lord Shiva, Pavana, which is the wind god, Lord Brahma, Surya, the sun god, Vishvasu, the 8 Vasus, the Sajas, the Maruts, the Rudras, the Siddhas, Marichi, and other rishis engaged in maintaining departmental affairs of the universe, as well as the best of the demigods, headed by Brihaspati, the great sages, headed by Brigu, are all certainly freed from the influence of the 2 base modes of material nature. Next slide. Namely, passion and ignorance. Nevertheless, although we are all in the mode of goodness, we cannot understand the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What then is to be said of others who are under illusion, who really speculate to know God? And that's as far as we were able to get in terms of the PowerPoint show. Okay. If we go back up here to, thank you for your patience in our stupid presentation. Okay, then let's look at default view, advanced view, translations. Okay. As different limbs of the body cannot see the eyes, that's interesting, right? The eyes can see what the hand is doing, but the hand can't see the eyes. The living entities cannot see the Supreme Lord, who was situated as the super soul in everyone's heart, not by the senses, by the mind, by the life air, by thoughts within the heart, which is more like buddhi, or the vibration of words, can the living entities ascertain the real situation of the Lord. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is self-sufficient and fully independent. What is that? Vigna Swarat. He is the master of everyone and everything, including the illusory energy. He has his form, qualities, and features. And similarly, his order carriers, the Vaishnavas, who are very beautiful, possess bodily features, transcendental qualities, and a transcendental nature almost like his. They always wander within this world with full independence. So we as devotees, as we're becoming advanced, we may feel inclined to do that and not so much following everything so strictly. And even if we're working, we may start becoming, a little bit more things that interest us. And we discover, okay, yeah, if Krishna wants us to stay in the workplace, and we start getting into a job where we can go around in a more creative fashion, wandering around, and what are we doing? We're just trying to see all the things in God's creation within micron or within capital 1 or what's the word? Del, yeah. And what do we do? The order carriers of Vishnu who are worshipped even by the demigods possess exact features. Okay, they're very rarely seen, and they protect the devotees of the Lord from the hands of the enemies, from envious persons, even from my jurisdiction. as well as from natural disturbances. So we're just trying to go around and help people. And if we're sincere, if we're pure by full morning program, then on his half, Krishna will send people, and we'll keep meeting people, you know. And so I begin to see that way. I kind of go out for a morning now, walk in the morning now. The sun's up, and I can walk around my little block. It's a limited area. Srinivas is going to come here with everybody, and we walk around. And yeah, the people are out, and I saw 2 people walking around there. And one family now, finally, they know I speak Spanish. They're a Mexican family. Oh, you speak Spanish? Okay. Muchachos. Lady called everybody and says, oh, this man speaks Spanish. Yeah. Oh, senor. Yeah. So then I think everybody learned. So the father was coming out today, not old. He just naturally, like, you know, kind of waved to me and bowed his head like, okay, you're a priest, and okay, you speak Spanish. Okay, wow. So little by little, we keep on going. Yeah. Another lady, she came out, she's a big, robust girl. Kind of like single people that, you know, work here, and lower income people, but nice people. So she was taking her 2 mad dogs for a walk, and they were, if she let them loose, they probably would have torn me to pieces. And if I was fortunate, I would have called Narayana, Narayana, and immediately, I guess, immediately around the corner would have come, you know, 6 even bigger dogs like that. 6 pit bulls or something would have suddenly come out, and the other dogs would have, you know, run away with their tails down, yelping. Okay, so this is what happens. We're Vishnu's pit bulls running around, and Krishna will send them. We protect people from the material nature, everything. Real religious principles are enacted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although fully situated in the mode of goodness. Even the great rishis who occupy the topmost planets cannot ascertain the real religious principles. Nor can the demigods or leaders of Siddha Loka, to say nothing of the asuras or ordinary human beings, Vidyadhars and Charanas. What to speak of the Senate of the United States of America? What to speak of the voters of the United States of America? So then he has a very, very famous verse. Brahma, Narada, Shiva, Kumaras, Kapila, Swayambhuva Manu, Prahlad, Janaka, Bhishma, Bali, Sukadeva Goswami, and I know the real principles of religion. My dear servants, this transcendental religious principle, which is known as Bhagavat Dharma, surrender to Krishna with love, is uncontaminated by the modes of material nature, because sometimes we get a principle of religion, we have some religion, but we see our activities are not completely pure, and therefore they're not getting us the perfect result. It is very confidential and difficult for ordinary human beings to understand, but if by chance, one fortunately understands it, he is immediately liberated, and thus he returns back home, back to Godhead. Okay. So somehow or other, Krishna is trying to dump this everywhere for us. And so Srila Prabhupada is being sent to this, stumble across us. Somebody gives us a book, you know, and that process, then we can understand it, and then we return, you know, back to Godhead. This is a verse we're quoting. I think it was last night or something, night before. Devotional service beginning with the chanting of the holy name of the Lord is the ultimate religious principle for all living entities in human society. My dear servants who are as good as my sons, just see how glorious is the chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The greatly sinful Ajamil chanted only to call his son, not knowing that he was chanting the Lord's holy name. Nevertheless, by chanting the holy name of the Lord, he remembered Shmarnam Smriti Narayana, and thus he was immediately saved from the ropes of death. When you perfect Shravanam, you can engage in Kirtanam. When you perfect Kirtanam, then you can engage in Smaranam, contemplating. And when you perfect Smaranam, no more Punar Janma, no more repeated birth and death. So he came to this point of Smaranam, and it was enough to liberate him within this material world. When I was in Chopati, when they had a Quonset hut for a temple a long time ago, there was one person who was attending there, and he was a big doctor. And I think he was maybe more sinful than Jagai and Madai. Yeah. He told me what he had done before. He'd been the director of an abortion clinic. And this is back maybe like about 1990 in India. And he was performing like 6 abortions in the morning, 6 abortions in the afternoon, 5 days a week, killing. I mean, how many babies was he killing morning and evening? And he was also engaging so many people in his staff under him. And this, I mean, I guess I've never heard of anybody who much had worse karma than this guy had. But somehow or other, he got Prabhupada's books, and he took to it. And then what he was doing, he was publishing on his own money and everything else. All this like propaganda material aimed at. He knew the people who how to get it to them and stuff about how this was not good karma and everything else. So we can see how greatly sinful Ajamil. Ajamil was a baby, I can say, in his panty waist in terms of what's going on. So anyway, he remembered Narayana at the time of death, and he was freed from the ropes of Yamaraj. I'm going to take care of my doll on my throat here, which is burning my doll. Okay. I'm putting a little water in the pot now. Okay. There we go. Okay. I have a new preparation. I put water in it. Okay. Therefore, it should be understood that one is easily relieved from all sinful reactions by chanting the holy name of the Lord and chanting of his qualities and activities. This is the only process recommended for relief from sinful reactions. Even if one chants the holy name with improper pronunciation, he will achieve relief from material bondage. If he chants without offenses, okay. Ajamil, for example, was extremely sinful, but while dying, he merely chanted the holy name, and although calling for his son, he achieved complete liberation because he remembered the name of Narayan. Okay. He goes on talking about this. Finish here. Considering all these points, therefore, intelligent men had decided to solve all the problems by adopting devotional service, chanting the holy name of the Lord, who is situated in everyone's heart, and who is a mine of all auspicious qualities. Such persons are not within my jurisdiction for punishment. Generally, they never commit sinful activities, but if by mistake or because of bewilderment or illusion they sometimes commit sinful activities, they are protected from sinful reactions because they always chant the Hare Krishna mantra. So, myself, for example, it's difficult to get a regulated diet to eat regularly. Prabhupada was even commenting about that, traveling and everything else. So sometimes you do eat improperly and you kind of know it, but you say, I shouldn't eat that, but what, there's nothing else to eat? And you get a reaction from it or something. But it's not a simple reaction, it's just material reaction. You don't identify with your body having acid indigestion or something, having to sleep or rest a little more. So these things are happening in the material world, but because we're always chanting our rounds and we're trying to chant as much as we can during the daytime and then chanting the literature and stuff, then these things happen, but we can become quickly freed from them. But Prabhupada would say, but don't take advantage. No, we should try and be perfect in our activities, but we're going to meet so many problems. Okay, and finally he finishes off. He says, only bring sinful people to me. We have committed an offense by arresting Ajamil, so we must pray to God to beg our forgiveness. Okay. And Sukadeva Goswami says, this is such a wonderful verse. Here it is. Tasmat Sankirtanam Vishnor Jagan Mangalam Anghasam Mahatam Apikorabhya Vidhi Aikantiki Nishkritam. Sukadeva Goswami continued, my dear king, the chanting of the holy name of the Lord is able to uproot even the greatest reactions of the greatest sins. Therefore, the chanting of the Sankirtan movement is the most auspicious activity in the entire universe. Please try to understand this so others will take it seriously. So there's our whole conclusion. We try to understand ourselves by reading these stories from the Bhagavatam, given to us with such intensity by Prabhupada, and commentaries, the Acharyas, Vishnu Chakravarti, and then we try to promulgate it. And there's so many ways. For example, anytime I write a letter, I try to send letters to people. I can draw a little picture of a guy on the cover, and I can put a little speech bubble and put Hare Krishna. And so somebody along the line probably sees that. I know one mailman for sure. He was a mailman for the Los Angeles community. ISKCON Los Angeles. He became a devotee. You know, everybody giving him gifts for Sodom. You're a mailman. The mailmen get gifts regularly. People give them gifts. I've seen that. So you can do it. It's no problem. And wish him on your birthday festival like that. Mr. Peanut, in 1 ounce peanut Planters peanuts. Make up labels. There's so many ways. You start thinking and chanting, you'll see ways. And don't worry that they're small. Don't worry that there's little things you can do. So whatever you can do to get the holy names, to get the Prabhupada's words out. I'm the taste in the water. I'm the light of the sun. I'm the fragrance of the earth. So many ways you start seeing. And when we associate with devotees, we exchange these ideas and we discover, oh yeah, that's a good way to make people devotees. That's a good way to preach. But the basis of it is congregational chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And then the big mridanga, of course, is all this Vaishnava literature we have. So that's our little presentation today, meditating here upon the pastimes of Yamadutas and Yamaraj, and how this is an example of being liberated. So any comments or questions from anybody?
Yes,
Anybody
Maharaj.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please go ahead, Srinivas Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, so Guru Maharaj, how do we apply this particular principle here? Yamaraja is saying they are not under, because he chanted the holy names, he is not under my jurisdiction. So a general question is how much, and we see that again and again in the Shastra in terms of punishing a Brahmana, like even in the case of Ashwatthama, what punishment has to be given to him. And one time Yamaraja improperly punished Manduka Muni, and he ended up becoming Vidura. So my question is, it seems from a civil perspective that, okay, a devotee has to be punished in a particular way. The Yamadutas were like, yeah, this guy did so many bad things. But holy name is given so much importance as the purifying factor. How do we apply this principle in the modern context?
Well, there are plenty of people like Ajahn in the modern context. I mean, for example, that can exactly be it. Somebody might be raised as a Mormon, and then he goes off to college and he just like, oh my God, sees some girl hanging out with a dude and becomes just totally overwhelmed with her. She winks at him and he notices that she's also in his biology class. And sure enough, she's in college just to catch a husband. And as soon as she's got one, she's out of there and he goes to work and, goes into, scamming people and business and everything else. Okay. Yeah. The only thing is in the modern world is less because they don't have children. Maybe they do have a kid and he names him Mormon or something, Moroni. That's the angel of there. And the time of death is exactly what happens. His whole life is there. He'd done all this stuff, but he wasn't sinful. I mean, he was sinful, but he wasn't offensive. Prabhupada says he didn't know he was fallen. And so, okay, Krishna arranges, it takes a lifetime sometimes to bring this stuff across. So Krishna does that, and in the time of death, he calls out, hallelujah, 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 And of course, you can put it in so many contexts, different things like that. But is that kind of what your question is, or do you have more specific thing you're aiming at?
Guru Maharaj, like when a person commits a sin, but then he chants the holy name, is he still liable to civil punishment under civil laws? In this particular case, the Yamadutas, they could not punish Ajamila for what he did because it was overridden by chanting of the holy name. So say if someone was engaged in sinful activities and he comes to Krishna consciousness and we find his history, should we hand him over to police, or should we say, hey, this guy took Krishna consciousness and he's reformed? How do we deal with these things?
Well, we have some lawyers here in our crowd, and beyond that, we have software engineers who are just another kind of lawyer. Yeah. So look at the fine print, fella. It didn't say he chanted the holy name. It said he chanted the holy name in
Without offense, he did it
Yeah, and
without offense.
without any kind of material resources.
Mhm.
So that's the point. I told my story about almost being, caught by the temple president stealing cookies like that. And it was that way. It just impressed me. It was exactly the same thing. I was just in a totally helpless condition. I was going to get chastised, a temple president for stealing Mahaprasadam, and Krishna saved me. I could have tried to take shelter of my material resources or something, but in the helpless condition, I saw, okay, and that's the result of chanting and everything else. You build it up, it's there. So that's what happened, is that he wasn't this like a totally a simple person. He had a good background. And when Krishna put him in a condition where it was his choice, he chose to call the name of Narayana. Okay. And so, okay, and that's enough. So that's the point, is that to be completely transferred from the external potency to the internal potency, then we have to, completely chant in a helpless condition like that. And that's kind of, I would say, like the level of diksha. At the time of initiation, when one fully surrendered, diksha kali bhakti kari atma samarpan, se kali krishna kari tari atma sam. At that time, when we atma samarpan, so he did that. He fully surrendered. So at that point, he was initiated. At that point, you're no longer a part of the external system. It's an official thing. The papers are stamped. This guy is no longer. This guy's in the army. Now he's under our jurisdiction, like that, and so on. So that's what happened. Other than that, yeah, there are religious activities, he's saying, which involve the name of Narayan. It's common, it's everywhere, but they're not fully, not fully outside the jurisdiction of civil authorities in that sense. And there are a lot of guys in prison who are quote the Bible and everything else. I mean, there's a lot of religious guys in prison. Something that's kind of strange, Yeah.
Mm. Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Gurudeva, please accept my humble obeisances.
Jai.
I have one more question or a comment kind of thing, Gurudeva.
Okay.
In general, the case where Ajamila married to a prostitute, but as you mentioned, you already made a comment. She's not going anywhere, anyone with, and she's sincerely there with him throughout the life, throughout the kind of. So, in general, outside, people consider this act of marrying a prostitute or something as a great deed, and he did something great to the society or something like that, and he will be prized and glorified as something. And here, somewhat. The act of him marrying her is putting it down the other way. The other way is there any relationship or anything we can understand from there? Or I
don't know exactly what you're saying. Usually, people think of marrying a prostitute's a good thing. I didn't quite follow that.
In the outside world is considered, reforming them and making them and bringing into the society, bringing into the mainstream.
That's not what happened. Yeah, if a nice person marries some unfortunate girl, who by circumstances may be a nice person, but she's way she grew up and everything else, she had to live. She had to engage in like selling her charms, Okay, and it accepts her as a wife and stuff. Okay, but if she changes and he remains like elevated, that's okay. But if he marries her to go down to her level and engage in gross things, yeah, then it's not very respectable, So is that?
Yeah, I got it, Gurudeva. I think that the other way, the last line you made, it makes sense actually. When she was brought to his level, instead of taking him down to her level, makes where the difference is completely,
Yeah, and especially it wasn't that she just brought him down. It was that he was actually looking for her because he was attracted to participating in those kind of things. It never says what happened to her and what happened to the boy. I guess they all got liberation too or something. His kid named Narayan must also have gotten,
Yeah, his story is very compelling and very. There are many. If we go more deep into this one, there are many gaps, Gurudeva. I feel like So.
We have to try it out ourselves.
Yeah, many gaps, and but as an overall, it is an inspiring one. I have a nice thing like seeing that my grandmother always says that why the names were given to the children with the Krishnas after. I think without knowing the Ajamila story, she tells the same thing. At least I can chant Krishna's name or remembers Krishna's name or something. So that is why our names were put after Govinda, Srinivasa, Krishna, Rama. So makes sense, Gurudeva. Thank you very much.
The holy names, Kijai. In the chat, Lakshmi Radha Devi Dasi says, Guru Dev, why is it that if Maharaj Pariksit is at the moment of death, confronting death, he's worried about other people? And this is because our subtle body goes with us. This is a fact, is that if people die, for example, if you die worrying about your children, what's going to happen to them when I'm gone? What's going to happen to my wife when I'm gone? Then that's a disturbance. You take it with you. So if Maharaj Pariksit is just trying to understand in his heart, is there a God? Is there a spiritual world? Is he kind? All these kind of things. He's taking it deeper and deeper. So he's trying to understand what the situation is. Okay, yeah, there is. Oh, okay, yeah. So he's learning about these deeper aspects because we take this with us when we're born in our next lifetime. If we have doubts about God and what other things like that, that's going to determine our bhava, and that's going to determine the next birth we take. And then Sundar Radhika smiles, okay. And then Sabashini, Shubhadevi Dasi said we should take our cane with us when we go out walking. We do, yeah. But that's the whole thing. Are we going to depend upon our armament when the dogs come for us, or are we going to chant out Hare Krishna like that? Yeah. I've had personal experience that the sound is the first thing you need. I was attacked by a Doberman Pinscher once with my sister, and I just spontaneously just roared. That the dog just like because he's roaring, he's barking, rah, when you scream, I just it just came out of me I was maybe like 17 years old. And the dog just stopped for a minute, Then he started coming more slowly towards me, growling. Then my foot came up. I didn't do it. Foot came up and kicked him in the chin. Had hard shoes on. And then he was really kind of, slowed down, but even more upset. And then his mistress came out. The lady who owned him came out of the house and called him. He was a big, mean Doberman Pinscher. And she said to somebody like, "Oh, Pookie, sweetie pie." It was so ridiculous. He turned and looked at her, and he had this totally little, sweet face on. And he turned at us and was just, I'm going to eat you up and tear you to pieces, and this kind of stuff. And then he turned again to her, and then finally kind of turned to us, and it was kind of like, "Okay, I'm going to deal with you guys later, but let's say go back. I'm not going to get any cookies tonight." It's like a whole flash experience. Yeah. So what's in our heart deeply? Okay, LBRD says, Hare Krishna Maharaj, what did Ajamil have to do between being rescued and entering the spiritual world? Okay, so this is the description because it says returns, but the return involves things. So yeah, he was contaminated, his mind was contaminated, he was subtle things he had to take care of. So then he went to someplace, some ashram, Bhadarik ashram or something, some holy place. And there he engaged in chanting and hearing and everything else and got the final, contaminations out of his heart and was able then to get back to his service in the spiritual world. Okay. So it's already 8:41. I don't know, any final questions or comments from anybody? I want to thank everybody for your association. Okay, so we hope that in the moments of crisis, you call out the name of Narayana or Radhe, like that. LBRD says Hare Krishna. Okay, thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah, thank you, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
We'll see you on Twitter. We'll see you on the telephone.